Hello, my name is Roman Onigan. In the previous lesson, we learned that there are 3 types of waves forming in the motive mode, and 7 types of waves forming in the corrective mode. In this lesson, we will deal with the first of the 3 types of motive mode, impulse. Impulse is the most popular and most common type of wave in the market. On closer examination, any complex corrective models can be divided into impulses. That is, in fact, impulse is such an elementary brick, and by putting together such elementary bricks, we can get a wave of absolutely any degree of complexity. In turn, even the most complex corrective wave can be decomposed to elementary impulses. The analogy with the atom of physics comes to mind. Atoms folding together form all known substances in nature, and also any substance can be decomposed to elementary atoms. Also, the impulse is an elementary atom from which all the waves that can be seen in the market are formed. So let's start. First of all, let's schematically show the impulse wave pattern and immediately write down the first rule. An impulse always subdivides into 5 waves, and like any wave formed in a motive mode, impulses are always denoted by numbers. Now let's look at the internal structure of the impulse. The first, third, and fifth waves of impulse are always formed in the motive mode. In other words, all actionary waves of impulse are formed in a motive mode. Further, the second and fourth impulse waves are always formed in the corrective mode. In other words, all reactionary waves of impulse develop in a corrective mode. So now we see that the first wave in an impulse is a motive wave, the second is a corrective wave, the third is a motive wave, the fourth is a corrective wave, and the fifth is formed in the motive mode. Now we can schematically show the internal structure of the impulse using the following formula. This formula shows that firstly, the impulse consists of 5 parts, and secondly, it shows the composition of its constituent parts. Subsequently, we will call such a formula a wave formula and write down such a wave formula for each type of wave, which is in the wave analysis. Such a formula in textbooks on wave analysis is usually denoted not by letters, but by the numbers 5 and 3. But I no longer use such a designation because I have found that many beginners are misled by it. If we wrote down the formula for impulse in numbers, it would look like this. Beginners looking at this formula see 3s on the second and fourth places, and due to this, they conclude that these places can only be waves consisting of 3 parts. But this is not true, and these places can be waves consisting of 5 parts. For example, we have a corrective wave triangle which consists of waves A, B, C, D, and E, or a triple 3 W, X, Y, X, Z. That is, the number 3 in the formula only indicates that the wave belongs to the corrective mode, but in any case not about the number of its components. That is why instead of the number 3, I propose to write the letter C, which more accurately indicates the belonging of the wave to the correct mode, and cannot mislead anyone about the number of components. I believe that this innovation will prevent people who are starting to study wave analysis from getting confused. So let's continue. To illustrate the following rule, let's start by drawing the impulse again. After the first wave is constructed, the second is always formed. The second wave is always smaller than the first. What is the value of the wave? The value of the wave is measured by its projection on the vertical axis. That is, the value of wave 1 is the length of this vertical segment. Usually the value of the wave is measured in points. So, wave 2 is always less than wave 1. This means that in its construction, wave 2 never goes below this level. That is, below the horizontal line through the beginning of wave 1. If wave 2 in its construction goes below this level, it means that we do not have an impulse wave pattern, but the beginnings of some other wave. The following rule for wave 3. Wave 3 always moves beyond the end of wave 1. In other words, in its construction, wave 3 always rises above this level, that is, above the horizontal line drawn through the top of wave 1. And I would like to add that the third wave is very often the largest in impulse. Further, the end of wave 4 always ends above the end of wave 1. In other words, in its construction, wave 4 always ends above this horizontal line, which is drawn through the top of wave 1. And as for the fifth wave, it is not so strictly limited by the rules. It can end both below the end of wave 3, in which case it is called a truncated fifth, and above the end of wave 3, In these cases, it is said that wave 5 is normal in size. And the final very important rule, wave 3 is never the shortest wave. That is, if the impulse is formed and we compare wave 3 with waves 1 and 5, and wave 3 is the smallest among them, this means that it is not an impulse wave, or the marking is done incorrectly. We reviewed all the rules applicable to impulses. Now let us consider how these rules are fulfilled for the downward impulse. The downward impulse also consists of 5 waves. The downward impulse has the same wave structure. That is, the first, third, and fifth waves of impulse are formed in the motive mode, and the second and fourth waves of impulse are formed in the corrective mode. Wave 2 is always less than wave 1, and in its construction it never goes above this level. Wave 3 always moves beyond the end of wave 1, wave 4 never moves beyond the end of wave 1, and wave 5 can be any size. And be sure to check that the wave 3 is not the smallest compared to waves 1 and 5. Next, I would like to give a little clarification regarding wave 4. We remember that for an upward impulse, wave 4 always ends above the end of wave 1. But here we are talking about the end. That is, during its construction, wave 4 can temporarily go beyond the forbidden zone, that is, slightly below the end of wave 1. For example, this situation may occur when a triangle is formed in the market. During its construction, we have a triangle on the place of wave 4, which goes below the end of wave 1. But wave 4 ends above the end of wave 1. Therefore, the rules are not broken and everything is fine. It should be remembered that this sometimes happens in the market, and therefore the rules are not violated. Let's demonstrate the same for the downward impulse. We see that here in place 4, a complex lateral corrective wave is forming, and during its construction, it temporarily went a little higher than the end of wave 1. But wave 4 ended below the end of wave 1, therefore the rules are not violated, everything is okay. So we figured out what impulse is. In the next video, we will start to study diagonals, which also belong to the motive mode of waves. All lessons in this video course are devoted to the theory of wave analysis. If you want to learn or practice, please contact me for personal training. Read more under this video. If this video was useful to you, click the like button and subscribe to my channel. So until we meet again, bye for now.